Hello. In this video, I'm going to speak about the competence of creativity and how it is related to innovation. We will also identify some typical behaviors associated with being creative. On your left, you have a definition of innovation where I have emphasized the words that I believe are more related to the competence of creativity. So you can see I've emphasized to create, to adapt, something new, improvement. To be creative is to think beyond traditional ideas, beyond the established rules, patterns or relationships. Usually to generate or adapt alternative ideas, products, processes, methods or services, regardless of the added value or the feasibility of these ideas. Creativity is stepping out of the limits, exploring new lands, regardless of whether that takes you to something useful or not. And this is linked fundamentally to the first stage of the process of innovation, which is the one that I've highlighted here in this part at the bottom, where we are going to generate alternatives. Other stages will follow later, but fundamentally creativity is linked to the generation stage, and at this stage your behavior will be connected with mental activities that you are going to express or show in some way. In other words, to be creative, it is not enough to have a lot of neural activity and lots of ideas if these ideas are not expressed in some way. Put another way, creativity is not a useful or helpful competence if you keep your ideas to yourself. When you're working with creative moments, essentially what you are going to be doing is thinking differently, using your intuition, using your knowledge, creating ideas or exploring options that are original, unusual, striking or surprising, and in addition are articulated or realized. How you articulate your ideas could be verbally or visually, through drawings or building models. Sometimes the way of expressing these creative ideas is creative in itself, is surprising or unusual in the context in which you're moving. In the end, what you're doing is proposing a series of ideas or shaping, refining or modifying existing ideas or proposing different or novel uses for existing resources. And here I'd like to make an observation. Taking advantage of the drawing that you have here, let's say that you are a person who likes to dress smartly and formally, who likes his or her clothes to always match. But obviously there are certain moments where other kinds of clothes could be much more appropriate for what you're doing. Something similar happens with creativity. There are times where we need to be creative and bring into play this competence or this capacity. And there are other times when we have to draw on other kinds of skills. There are people who are very creative and can exercise or display creativity at certain moments in the different stages of the innovative process, and at other times use other abilities. And there are other people who are so creative, or who want to be, so amazingly creative, that they do not know how or cannot behave differently. If this is your case, if you are so fantastically creative that everything you do has to be original, then I would suggest that you take advantage of this talent to see how and where you can best fit in with or best contribute to other stages in the innovative process. For example, if you are at the stage of evaluating alternatives, you can propose new ideas or new ways of doing something or new indicators to assess whether an idea is good or bad. If you are at the implementation stage, you can suggest new ways of putting into practice your team's ideas. If you are at the assessing results stage, you may be able to see new ways or new uses or new users for your innovation, or new ways of evaluating how successful it is or the impact it is having. So I think that right now you should be able to link the competence of creativity with the first stage in the innovation process, which is the generation of ideas. And in addition, you should be able to identify some creative behaviors. And I think that you can also see that in order to be a creative person, you don't need to always be creative.